Welcome to the official channel of the Locksmith. I'm your host, Justin. Welcome. Welcome to the first official video of the Locksmith channel with Minnesota Locks. So today, this is going to be our main video. And the purpose of making a maiden video, trying to understand, just for myself, because, I'm out there, I'm actually working during the day and in the evening and different times. And I'm working on what I would consider semi-complicated tasks. Every situation is almost a little bit different. And, so if I make a channel about the locksmith, then I'm not really answering all of the questions, because I can go into, how I learn about it, how do I become a locksmith, what are the advantages of being a locksmith. And as I work through all of it, I realize it's not just about locksmithing. Really any job, doesn't matter what your job is, what your day-to-day, how you pay your bills at the end of the week, it doesn't matter what that is. There's a whole other subset of who you are as a human being that makes all that possible. And with that, I'll basically break it down. I'll break down the different areas that I've identified that I think this channel would be helpful for. So the first thing that I want to get into is what I call my SOP. Now, an SOP is a standard operating procedure, and it's based on about a lifetimes of knowledge. I think if a person wanted to try to work it out, you could probably work it out in about a year. Just because, so we'll look at it like this. A standard operating procedure is basically what is going to make me happy. What's going to make me happy? And by being happy, am I happy? My definition of happy is being creative, feeling physically fit, engaged, challenged, and growing as an individual. So that's my target. It's not, I need to make $62,000 a year in 3 years. That's not my goal. That's not what makes me happy, and that's not my personal standing operating procedure. So the standard operating procedure has 3 basic categories. I'm going to go into those individual categories, not in depth, but just basic, some very basic parameters there, and then we'll move into the other areas. So for my standard operating procedure, number 1 category for me is creativity. Now, I got to that because it needed to be distilled down to something that was simple enough to get. And I believe every single person has creative energy inside of them. And if you really want to do something positive with your life and feel happy, you have to be creative in some way, trying something new, engaging and learning in new things, and challenging your thought process. So for creative, I make a goal of doing an hour of creative, structured, unstructured creative time. Now for me, that could be making this video. So this is going to play in. This is going to take an hour to record it, set it up, upload it. We're talking about an hour of creative time. So I've met today's requirement of creativity. A big part of that is when you're doing something that's complicated, when you're doing something that is complex and requires focus and attention, you really need that creativity to have been flowing already, so that when you get to that point, you can just move right into your creative state instead of getting angry or frustrated. And that's, getting angry or frustrated isn't going to help. I get there, everybody gets there at some point, especially, if I get something that's not complying, I get worked up. I do. I get angry. And a lot of times I'll just take a 2-minute, come back at it, fresh and clean, and I can usually solve it on that second go. So video, the first category being creative, and video, writing, taking pictures, anything really creative is going to meet that with a goal of an hour a day. The second one is health. And the first category, the first item under in health for me is really just exercise. And by exercise, that means working out, lifting heavy things. It doesn't have to, you don't have to go out and spend an hour every day at the gym. It's an hour of time, but that hour of time is broken up into usable chunks for your health. So for me, I make a goal of going to the gym in the morning. I like to get there earlier in the day and put in some exercise. It doesn't have to be super physical, it doesn't have to be difficult. Just a couple bench presses, like look in the mirror, hit the treadmill for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, sit in the sauna, relax, take a shower. That's the second critical thing that I need, that I've learned about myself, that I need to meet this or I'm not happy. The third one, the third category is personal growth. And for personal growth, just about anything can be personal growth, but you have to acknowledge while you're doing it that the purpose of this is growing, being a better person, increasing, your value, whatever it may be. For me, an easy way to get some personal growth is to read. So an hour of reading, that's one of the ways I can meet that personal growth. I could go out and socialize. I could go out and introduce myself to new people. There's a bunch of different ways that I can work on growth. For this purposes, my target for the hour is reading. So we're talking about 3 hours every day of being creative, exercising, and doing something that's making me become a more complex person. So that's the SOP. That's basically the standard operating procedure that I need to be able to do high call volumes, answer calls, deal with complicated situations, people who are very emotional, and work them through a solution and do it in a manner that's effective, that you don't have callbacks or issues later, that the customer feels competent and feels confident in your competence and skill, and that at the end of the transaction they got a good value for your money and they felt like they were the best. They feel like the best decision they made in relationship to this is calling you. So for me to be able to do all of those things, I need to be making sure that I'm working on sort of my personal self so that I'm in the best place I need to be. So with that being said, one of the things that I'd like to tackle on my channel is going to be basically educational. And educational is two parts. It's for the consumer, so there's some stuff that I do that a consumer could adapt that information and utilize it in their own situation and get a positive outcome from it. That's part of it. Some of the videos I think will be the case. Some will definitely be the case. And then others are going to be more technical, geared towards locksmiths, geared towards, like equipment, tools, or, more extensive or exhaustive breakdowns of how to resolve the situation and have all the information there on video so that you can complete the task. So one portion we'll have a little bit on the SOP and how I'm adapting that. We've got educational for the consumer and technical locksmiths. A big thing about what happens in my career or in my job every day is dealing with failure, and it's hard to imagine what it's like to lose your keys or get locked out of your car until it happens, or it has happened. And typically, it always happens as a collective of items, almost like not following the SOP is a good example of how people typically lose their keys. So a part of it would be experience. Like, how do you avoid, you're flying somewhere, and this is a great example. You're flying somewhere. How do you not lose your car keys in the San Diego Bay and then get back to the airport and get in your car? There's some very simple strategies that I learned from dealing with people when life turns south, and I think that can be of some real value here. So we've got the educational, experience, marketing, and advertising. Obviously, I want to make money. I want to earn more customers. So some of my videos are going to be geared specifically towards marketing products and advertising my services. And I think it's a fun part. It also fits into a lot of it, just being creative, but working on the marketing. There's things that I can be very upfront about it, and I think if you're looking to market or you're looking to grow a business yourself, or you're in a business, I believe that not only will marketing to customers directly, but also have people can learn to say, oh, that makes sense, that's cool. Oh, so we use this for a web model, for instance. And then I think really the final one is life skills, because I think of all the things that I've learned, actually it's not life skills, recruiting. This is a great field for certain people. Some people can excel, make great money, have the flexibility, have a high enough stress workload where they're not bored, feel dull. It's a great career for somebody. You can work part-time, you can work in the evenings. It doesn't have to be very super structured, because the failure happens. So, if you're going to college, there's a lot of good positions. Dispatch, it's highly technical. We've got a ton of computer-related skills that a person needs to be successful. So a part of my channel is going to be dedicated to recruiting, and I started to open up the life skills a little bit, and that is such an integral part to me. And I'll break into that, individually. It's not something I'm going to talk about right here, but definitely something that I feel like I can bring a lot to the table. So with that, I'll leave you folks to go about your day. I appreciate you taking your time out to check out my videos, and I hope you can find, based on the categories that I put together, I hope you can find some information here that can help you improve your life. I'm Justin, the Locksmith. You guys have a great day.